Welcome back to Omen Exitio. Play good.
Oh, that was weird. Anyway, back to Mist. I think something very bad is going to happen here. New Bedford is now just a thin line on the horizon. You set sail several hours ago, on course for Central America. The captain has modified the course a little to try and bypass a strange fog which was straight in front of you. Yeah, I'm very worried about this fog. We heard bad stories last time, and I don't expect anything good to come from it. Though a little crude, your traveling companions are not half as bad as you thought at first, and the memories of the past year almost seem to belong to someone else. No. Your decision to continue traveling was no doubt the right one. I hope so. You come across Medina on deck. He's walking strangely, and his clothes are covered in blood. His wounds look fresh. Oh. Run into some fiery wench on shore, huh? I will help. I'm good at that. You persuaded him to come with you to the sick bay. With the right equipment, it takes a little time to clean and treat his wounds properly. The wounds are not very serious, but without the right treatment, he would have risked a nasty infection. Medina feigns indifference, but from the way he looks at the medical instruments, you can tell he's a little afraid of doctors. Why the fuck did he have blood on him? Is he not going to tell us anything about that? Was that not very interesting to him? I guess not. You are leaving the poop deck and walking towards the bow when you see a steamship in the distance. It appears strangely motionless, as if adrift. Perhaps they need help. I don't think they need jack shit. I think we need to go right by them. You ignore the steamship. They probably stopped to fish or to clean the hold with seawater. No. You're just being paranoid again. You return to your duties when a noise in the distance catches your attention. They are the engines of the ship which you had decided to ignore. The ship has turned and is now coming in your direction, because of course it fucking is. You try to get a better look as the ship approaches you. Finally realize that on board there are dozens of armed men. Lovely. Captain, the pirates, they're here. Captain Elian holds up the telescope and immediately yells an order. Hard turn, hard turn. Do we have... so I know that this is just like a cargo ship, but do we have cannons? Is that a thing we still have? Cannons cool and everything? The Serenity will be unable to sustain a high-speed collision with such a large steamship. It's getting closer by the minute, and if they catch you, your small cargo ship will be easy prey. There are not enough weapons on board to defend yourselves against such an enemy. Yeah, I'm sure. Despite everyone working frantically, the pirates are still closing in. There's a sudden whistle and the crack of splintering wood. They have started firing. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Oh, that seems like a wretched bad decision. I don't even know if I have enough speech to convince him of that. Oh, I maybe could. See, this feels like a very bad decision to me. I guess. That it's behind a skill check makes me feel like I want to do it. But I also don't think I want to do it. I guess I'll do it. Fuck it. Fuck it, let's go right into the evil mist. Fuck it. Captain, we won't survive a direct attack. We have to get into the fog bank. It's our only chance. I don't believe that. The captain nods and looks at the pirates getting closer. You can tell he's not keen on the idea, but that he recognizes that it could be your only chance of surviving. I think this is potentially far worse, but whatever. The ship changes direction abruptly. The change of direction confuses the steamship, giving you a chance to put a small distance between yourself and it. You're heading straight into a large bank of fog, and looking around, you see Medina mumbling something and crossing himself repeatedly. Neither do the other men look happy about this decision, but since the steamship has corrected course and is once again in pursuit, no one protests. Oh, yeah, I figured. You turn back to look at the men on the steamship. You borrow an eyeglass to get a better look at them, but what you see freezes your blood. The men you see all have their forearms tattooed with eye symbols. Could it be an absurd coincidence? That would be the most absurd coincidence. So it is not. Or have they been on your tail all this time? Yeah, the latter. The pirates, or rather the cultists, are preparing to attack. While some continue shooting, others are preparing rope lines to board any minute now. However, the first wisps of fog are already enveloping the Serenity. Ooh. I can imagine this going really badly. Like, we go below deck and then it gets eerily quiet because we didn't help. I'm gonna help. Fuck it. You find some wooden boards and put together some kind of protection from the men who will soon be boarding the ship. Then you realize that it is pointless and your shelter is ridiculous. Oh, okay. You can stop some of them, but the cult will stop at nothing to get to you. You're increasingly panicked as you think about the situation. In the open sea, there's nowhere to run, no way of escaping the cult. I know, they're pieces of shit. You can hear shouts and the sound of grappling hooks being thrown. Every muscle in your body is tensed, ready for action when you suddenly notice wisps of fog floating around the bridge. You stand up and look over the railings. The ship has disappeared, replaced by thick fog. Even the far end of the bridge of the Serenity is getting difficult to see. The Serenity is now drifting, undisturbed in the eerily silent fog. There is no trace of the steamship. The sound of its engine and the shouts of its crew have fallen silent. Your crewmates, too, are now silent and tense. And not for fear of the steamship. The surrounding atmosphere is surreal and disquieting. There's silence full of anticipation. Everyone seems convinced that whatever is about to happen, it won't be pleasant. I have no expectation that it would be. Estamos entrado en las fauces de un monstruo. Yeah, Yeah. I'm not an expert in Spanish anymore because all of my Spanish knowledge comes from 4 years in high school, and that was a number of years ago now. We are entering in the fauces of a monster. We are entering in the... I don't know what fauces is. We are entering in the something of a monster. Whatever it is, I'm good. I do understand. You do understand Medina's words, but the terror on his face is perfectly intelligible. Yeah, I know. It is almost as if time itself has frozen. The fog has become even thicker, and now it is impossible to see more than 6 feet ahead in any direction. Sound, too, has been muffled. You know the captain is shouting orders from close by, but they seem distant, as if coming from another world. Everyone on deck, head for a head count. I need to know how many we've lost. 50. All of them. We've lost everybody. A drop of water lands on your forehead, and then you see another between your feet on the deck of the bridge. It starts raining. The crew assembles on deck. Somebody stumbles and swears, likely knocking into someone else. Ay, Dios mío! Oh my god! You are standing immobile, as if petrified on the bridge. You don't know which direction to go, and the rain is getting heavier. I want to be with the other people. I want to be where the people are. You decide to try to reach the others, but you've completely lost your orientation. You only know that you're somewhere on the bridge, but you can hear the voices of others, but through the fog and rain, it is unclear where they're coming from. The sea begins to stir. Suddenly, the ship is shaken, as if by a large wave or a collision with a reef, or the pirate ship. You ascertain that it is not the pirate ship, and it cannot be a reef. You are too far from the coast. It is a wave, and as another hits the side of the ship, you see Medina tossed by its force into a railing in front of you. Okay, now I'm pretty agile, and I'm also observant. I'm the most agile, though, so I will be agile. I help! Finally, you make a move. You take a step forward, trying not to slip on the wet floor, and balancing yourself against the rolling of the ship. You manage to grab hold of your Argentine shipmate before he ends up in the brine. In these horrendous conditions, that would certainly have meant death. I think it probably would have meant a whole lot more than death, to be quite honest. There are unnatural sounds in the fog, in addition to the screams of sailors. There's something weird going on, and you start thinking, feeling, that this is no ordinary storm. Quick, everyone to their stations. We must regain control of the ship. I would like that. That seems like a pretty standard good idea. Now the captain emerges from the fog, yelling and waving his arms. He is trying to encourage the crew to action, to help him deal with the situation. Another larger wave hits the deck, knocking Elian down and dragging him away. Oh. Well, that's not good. Oh, pissing shit. As soon as the wave recedes, you go over to see what has happened to him. You find him some distance away, covered with blood and eyes popping. At first you do not understand, but then you see that a wave has impaled him on a loading hook. You see its point protruding from his sternum, and you realize he has mere seconds to live. The water remaining on the bridge turns red with his blood. Madre de Dios, Mother of God. Medina, white-faced and terrified, is next to you, also staring at your dead captain. You hear him retch, and you turn away so as to not see him throwing up. The ship shudders again, and you hear a queer noise. Next time you turn around, Medina's gone, disappeared into the fog. Well, what did I save you for? You no good sack of shit. The screaming around you has lessened, but the ship rocks even more violently. You start moving in the fog, looking for other crew members, but now there's only silence, and the ship appears empty, as if abandoned. Another jolt, and there's a shriek of tearing as you are thrown overboard. Piss! You manage to resurface despite the ferocity of the waves. If you don't act quickly, you will die. I'm not as observant as I once was. Oh, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. Oh, I did it! You're thrashing your arms, keeping your head out of the water to look around. You can see a large shape in the water just ahead of you. With great effort, you manage to get close to it. It is a portion of the bridge. With the last of your strength, you pull yourself out of the water. You're desperately clinging to this piece of wood tossed about in the waves of a storm. You have no idea how long you've been holding on to this fragment of the Serenity, but after a while, the storm calms, and the fog begins to clear. You're weak from hunger and dehydration. Your grip on the wood begins to relax, and only then do you notice the pain in your hands. It is your final thought before exhaustion carries you away into sleep. Oh, did I? Am I dying? Was that a big die? When you open your eyes, you're already coughing violently. You can feel cold, hard sand below you. When your vision comes into focus, you immediately see a face looking down at you. A young, dark-skinned woman is watching you with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. She has long black hair, and her face seems to balance sweetness and strength. This has gone far better than I thought it would. With some effort, you manage to sit up and look around. There is no trace of your ship or your crew. Captain Elian, Medina, and all the others, gone. Probably dead. Well, that sucks. The woman is still watching you with intense curiosity, perhaps even a hint of suspicion. You're about to smile when her expression transforms again, and in a single skillful movement she twirls around a spear, pointing its sharp tip at your throat. Tu es l'un des ratu? I don't know that language. That's tu es. Are you one of the ratu? I don't know what ratu means. I don't think are you one of the something? Oh, it's French. Okay. I was like, that's why I can't understand it. She speaks French, having studied French at university. Oh, okay. It's very weird that I understood somewhat the Spanish, but not the French, and my character knows the French. Having studied French at university, you understand her fairly well, but there's a word in her question that you do not understand. Is it the ratu? A word that doesn't even sound like French. You answer, trying to pronounce the words to the best of your ability. I don't understand what you asked, but there's no need for that weapon. She can keep her weapon. She's cool. I said don't. I've been shipwrecked. I don't understand what you asked, but there's no need. Be defensive. She studies you gravely and speaks to you again in French. I asked if you are Ratu, one of them. I don't know who them is. I'm sorry, I still don't understand. Who is them? The woman is perplexed. You really don't know who I'm talking about? Where the fuck are we? I mean, I get it. They're speaking French, so it's, that doesn't really narrow it down. It's one of about 50,000 islands that the French decided, this is ours now. We could be anywhere. I don't even know where I am, let alone who you're talking about. I was on a ship when floundered in a storm. Floundered, that's a fun word. The woman continues scrutinizing you, then she lowers her spear, and you can see the faint hint of a smile on her lips. She then helps you stand. You're unsteady on your feet, but you're thankful that you can even stay upright. Recent events have taken their toll. You are hungry and your throat is still burning. She beckons you to follow her, and then walks off towards the jungle, which begins immediately behind the beach. She's guiding you through the dense vegetation of the jungle, holding your hand with a grip so tight that you doubt you would even be able to break free, even if you weren't in your current debilitated state. After a few hundred meters, the jungle gives way to a clearing, and in it, a small village. As you approach, the villagers immediately stop their activities and turn to stare at you and exchange surprised comments amongst themselves. The woman is still holding your hand, dragging you through the village. She speaks again, but not in French. You cannot understand a single word she's saying, and you still feel very confused. Finally, she stops, turns to you, and goes back to speaking in French. My name is Ayata. This is my village. Hi, Ayata's village! Many of the other villagers start crowding around you and begin to feel somewhat apprehensive. Yeah, I can imagine. The adrenaline produced by waking in such strange circumstances is suddenly overpowered by your fatigue, and you feel your knees giving way. Ayata props you up to stop you from falling. You wonder if you'll faint, realizing that your hunger and thirst are reaching critical levels. Can I, get some water? Surely y'all got some. You're sitting on the floor of a hut, and Ayata's bringing you food. There are very strange tropical fruits, and wooden bowls filled with food that you don't recognize. You waste no time asking what they are, though, and begin eating and drinking with gusto. Good job. Ayata is sitting next to you, still looking at you inquisitively. She seems cheerful, as if the mere sight of you amuses her. Then her expression changes, and she suddenly becomes serious. Is it them? This village is not free. Since they came, we have had no freedom. We do whatever they want us to do, and every month they come here to take one of us away. No one has ever come back. Oh, god pissing shit. Is the cult here? Is the cult doing rituals? I mean, of course they are. Of course they are. Who are they? Foreigners. They have weapons and they do things. Strange things. All the villagers are scared of them. Scared that they will put a curse on us, or worse. So they can do whatever they want to us and no one protests. You're intrigued. It certainly is a strange story, and you have many questions, but just then a young boy, about 12 years old, enters the hut and comes close. Ayata smiles. Jacob, this is the village chief's son, Farah Hayava, but everybody calls him Fuego. Okay, I can do Fuego. I mean, I mostly got Farah Hayava. It took a while. You shake hands with Fuego and discover that he too speaks French. I kind of want to know more about these invaders. Follow me. Ayata silently walks off towards the edge of the village. You follow her and notice that Fuego is walking behind you. Ayata turns and gives him a look, silently giving her consent for him to follow too. You both continue following her until you are at least 100 yards outside the village. Ayata sits and you and Fuego follow suit. My people, our people, are terrified and superstitious. They are completely at the mercy of these foreigners. They believe them to be something like sorcerers, but I think they are only men. I followed them, watched them. I didn't see what they do with the people that they kidnap, but I saw them performing strange rituals. I goddamn got it on one. What kind of rituals? The blood kind. God damn it, I'm tired of Stop looking at me! I gave you no right to look at me! I'm not sure. They meet at a cave in the middle of the forest, wearing a sort of skirt and masks. They all have the same strange tattoo on their arms. It looks like an eye. I never dared to get too close, so I don't know what they actually do during the rites, but I did see that they had brought with them the men which they kidnapped from the village. You are stunned, speechless. I'm not. I saw it coming. It is the cult. Here too, but how is it possible? You attempt to conceal your reaction, but Ayata watches you closely. She pauses for a moment, and Fuego looks at her. You can see where Ayata is going with all this. She wants to rise up against the cult, and finding no support from the people of her village, she sees you as a possible ally. Yeah, I guess. You want me to help you? Sure, whatever. I'll go with it. Ayata silently nods her head. Fuego does the same. They must be stopped, but our people are too afraid. I need to know what they're doing with the people from the village that they've taken. then either fight or escape. They're doing wretched things with them. You probably don't want to know. Then Ayada tells you about a small island nearby where the villagers could hide if things go awry. Yeah, sure, whatever. Ayada smiles, a smile that makes you feel that in another situation and another time, she would have thrown her arms around you. Fuego, though, jumps to his feet and begins to shake about in a sort of dance, accompanied by low-pitched yelps, which you assume to be a celebratory tradition of the tribe. You go back to the village. Fuego continues his dancing, even as you're walking back to the village through the jungle. You decide to learn a little more about him. So you are the chief's son. You're an important person, then. Yes. My father's important. I'm only a boy, for now. You're a good boy. I have to be clever if I'm going to follow in my father's footsteps. You and Ayada laugh. You're very impressed by this boy. Encourage him. You must be clever yourself, then. You burst out laughing again. Ayada smiles too, but her face is darkened again. Do not tell anyone that I spoke to you, at least for now. The Eye on the Island. You spend the entire next day with Ayada and Fuego. Fuego's taken upon himself to acquaint you with the fishing traditions of the village. He takes you to meet with a group of fishermen who have just returned from sea. Fuego proudly teaches you the local names for the fishing equipment, as well as all the fish and other animals that fill the nets which are thrown from their boats, which are small dugout pierogies. The women of the village take the catch and prepare it for the meal. I can help. The nets the men are using are quite different from any that you've seen, and you haven't done much fishing before anyway. Nonetheless, you soon get the knack of throwing the nets and pulling them in without losing the fish they contain. Returning to shore, you give them a hand unloading and moving the catch. Good for us. Seeing you helping out, Ayada smiles. Oh yeah, we're impressing her. We're impressing her. We're doing good. I've been making a lot of these checks successfully. That scares me. I kind of like the strategy of just dumping one stat and doing all the others. It seems to be working out well for me in general. A large fire is lit, and all the women are busy cleaning the fish and crustaceans caught by the men when you notice a certain tension in the air. There are noises coming from the jungle. Ayada, wide-eyed, alerts you and Fuego. You must hide. Oh, not this again. Armed strangers with pale yet tanned skin and European features enter the village and corral its inhabitants together with angry and threatening commands. They start examining the villagers. I'm scared. From behind the hut where Ayada has taken you to hide, you're able to see the whole scene. You assume that they have come to kidnap someone, as recounted by Ayada. You raise yourself up a little to get a better view of what's happening, but you accidentally knock over... Oh, God damn it! You accidentally knock over a fishing spear that had been left leaning against the hut, making a noise. Who's that? Is that someone there? No. No! He speaks in French. Another man approaches the hut where you're hiding. Ayada is frozen on the spot, but then Fuego rises to his feet and walks calmly into the clearing. You're shocked and about to say something, but Ayada gestures for you to stay silent. What do we have here? A little boy? Do you think you could hide from us? Oh, shit. The cultist smacks Fuego's face, but the young boy hits him immediately back. Unfortunately, his strike has little effect on the man, and after a second blow, Fuego is left reeling and bloody on the ground. The men of the village are immobile, terrified. Gentlemen, I'd say we already have what we came for. The man makes signals to the other cultists, and they grab Fuego's arms and start dragging him away easily despite his resistance. Ayada jerks forward and is about to shout, but this time it is your turn to silence her by putting your hand over her mouth. For only a second she struggles, then realizes that you're right. You feel a cold tear fall on the hand covering her mouth. Yeah, that sucks. The cultists leave the village, taking Fuego with them. You're still holding Ayada, even though she stopped struggling long ago. You know full well that you could not have done anything. In fact, you would probably have made the situation worse if you had reacted just now. Despite this awareness, you cannot help but feel like a coward. When the cultists have gone, you have come out from your hiding place. Yeah, we will get him back. How? Just us? You don't know them, but what they are capable of. I have a feeling I know what they're capable of. You ask me for help and I'm ready, but we need to think of a plan. Ooh, well, revealing this now could be better, because if it comes up later, she may not trust us. Undo it. What do you mean? I've come across this cult before. The ship I was traveling on was sunk due to them. You asked me for help? Okay. Have you got any ideas then? I mean, I would say the allies is a generally good plan. Getting other people that agree, you know? I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Anything else? You try to come up with a plan of action, but quickly realize that you do not have enough information. Yeah, where are they exactly? I've watched them, followed them. Their camp is on the opposite side of the island, and there's a cave there where they do their rituals. You have a starting point, at least. You'll need to see it for yourself to get a better idea of the situation, so that you can make a plan of attack. But you'll also need to find out if there's anyone else willing to help you in Iata, or if you're alone. Now you just have to make a start. Convincing the villagers. Best place to your enemy. Let's start with the people. The sun is already high in the sky when you finally leave your bed and walk out of the hut where you had been sleeping. The village is a hive of activity. Many of the fishermen's dugouts are already at sea. Others are intent on finishing their careful preparations before heading out. The women are busy with various activities. Some tend to crops on the edge of the village, while others are looking after the children. It seems like any other, perfectly ordinary day, as if Fuego's kidnap or those from before had never happened at all. I mean, what else you gonna do? Iata comes up, bringing you some fruit for breakfast. There's a lot of fruit we're having. We should probably eat a better diet. Have you had any ideas? We organize a raid on the cult's camp. Iata notes your hesitation, but you don't think that that is possible. You explain to her that it is not the case, but that you would have a much better chance of success if it were not just you two. Again, I feel like we need more people. They are strong and determined, and when they decide to do something, they stop at nothing. However, unfortunately, as I've already told you, they are very superstitious. They wouldn't even consider attacking people who they believe are capable of magic. They have weapons, terrible weapons that can strike from a great distance and with more force than arrows. That is all I know. It's called a gun. It's bullshit. What attempt? You noticed Iata's tone of voice when speaking about the villagers, and you decide that maybe some of them could be convinced to help you. When you tell her this, and that it is your best hope, she nods in agreement. There are perhaps 3 of the men that we could convince. Amana is the chief. He's very close to his son. With her eyes, she indicates his hut. He has not left the hut since his boy was kidnapped. Tahatoa is strong and powerful, not easily scared. Manwari is very agile and headstrong. I think he expresses his anger for them. Starting with the chief seems like a great idea. You go up to Amana's hut, knock and enter. You find the chief sitting in silence on a mat in the center of his hut, his thoughts seemingly miles away. You're silent for a moment, considering your words before he speaks before you. You must forgive my manners, but mourning fathers can forget the most basic courtesies towards both guests and their own companions. Ooh, okay. I can level up my speechcraft again, and I think I'm gonna have to. That feels good. That feels good. Well, you need help. It seems inappropriate to disturb him. Now I'm gonna mention him. I can understand your pain, Amana, but you are a strong and wise man, and you should not be mourning yet. I know the cult, and they have no magical powers. Listen. I know we haven't seen the magical powers yet, but they may very well have them. There was a weird fog that ate our ship, man. You gotta open your mind up a little bit. However, I also know that the danger your boy Fuego faces, and I have no intention of leaving him in their hands. I'm going to rescue him. Nice! You pause for a few moments, and then turn to leave the hut. You've only taken a couple of steps when you hear Amana's voice. You will not go alone. Tell me your plan and I will come with you. Yes! Yes. Tahatoa. Ayada shows you which hut is Tahatoa's. He has not yet left the hut to go fishing. Recently, however, Tahatoa has not been fishing much at all because he's been looking after his brother, Enought. His brother is bedridden because of a fishing accident. As soon as you enter the hut, you are reprimanded by Tahatoa. What are you doing? Can't you see there's a sick person here? Get out. Ooh, I can do that. I can do that. I'm good at medicine. I know how to medicine. Ooh, I don't know if I know how to medicine that good, though. We're gonna have to hope for it. We're gonna have to hope for it. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! I love it. I fucking love it, mate. When you approach Enought, his protective brother starts to protest, but Ayada stops him and calms him down. Examining the abrasion, you can see it is not very serious, but also that it has not been cleaned properly at all. You patiently explain that you'll have to treat the wound, and that, although it will be painful, it will then heal more quickly. Tahatoa is watching you treating his brother, and he seems impressed. You clean and dress the wound with great care. He may have a light fever over the next few hours, but in a day or two, he'll be fine. Excellent. You look over to see Tahatoa smiling happily. While you were treating his brother, Ayada told him about your plan. Oh my god, I'm doing so good. You've helped Enought, and I'm with you. Now here's where we're gonna fuck it. Here's absolutely where we're gonna fuck it. You follow Ayada to a dugout, and you paddle together to Manwari's usual fishing spot. You reach him quickly and glide up right next to his canoe. At first, he seems to be ignoring your presence, and then he barks at you. You're frightening the fish. Find your own spot. He does not seem too happy to see you. Ooh. Can I... We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. I don't know if that's gonna be enough. Oh my god, I'm so good at this game! Everything's coming up Millhouse! You watch him fishing, wondering whether he will help you on this rescue mission. Something about his concentration and bearing give you the impression that he is indeed a brave man, but also deeply melancholic. You detect even a hint of guilt in his unblinking eyes. We are going to rescue Fuego and all of those who've been taken by the masked men. All of them. The man raises his head and fixes you with his large bright eyes. That is a brave plan. I will help. Oh my god, we got all of them. We got all of them! I'm so happy. When you return to your hut after having approached and spoken to the 3 men suggested by Ayada, the sun is falling fast towards the horizon over the great expanse of the ocean. I was afraid that no one would come with us, Jake. There is hope, however. Fear has not completely taken over this village. Despite the great risk you face, you're reassured by the fact that you have allies from the village. There will be 5 of you involved in the rescue attempt. Nonetheless, you'll have to plan the attack so as to not be seen. Surprise will clearly be an important element of your raid. I guess. Should we go to the cave first? Do you think we can do this in any order we want? Or do you think it's important which ones I go to next? I kind of want to go to the cave. I want to see what's going on there. Rays of sunlight filter down through the jungle vegetation, warming your skin. You've been walking with Ayada for quite some time, when eventually she turns to you and gestures for you to be silent and move more slowly. You're approaching the cave where the cult conducts its rituals. The thick jungle opens onto a small beach. They walk up here in a line. You approach the entrance to the cave carefully, making sure that there's no one around or inside. Then you light a torch and go inside. I think they come here for this. As you're moving deeper into the cave, Ayada holds the torch near the cave walls, illuminating strange and ugly pictograms. These drawings were here long before they came to this island. They've been here since ancient times, of course they have. The symbols on the wall are heavily stylized, a bizarre hybrid of rock painting and Egyptian hieroglyphics. You make out what seem to be people worshipping, and others who seem to be suffering. All around these figures are unspeakable and terrible creatures, dark horrors with such bizarre shapes that they seem to change as you look at them. In various points you recognize the now familiar eye symbol. You reach the end of the cave, which opens onto a large space with a natural rock dome. The drawings all lead to the far end where you see a much larger picture. It looks like an altar surrounded by men, wearing what you recognize as a stylized version of the cult's masks and kilts. In the center, there is something which emerges from what looks like a well. It is a mass of black, but you manage to distinguish something, perhaps an eye, in the center of the mass, and there are protrusions like black tentacles reaching up into the sky towards what looks like the representation of a comet. Then you notice another detail. Caught up in the tentacles, there is a human figure, screaming, his face horribly contorted in pain. In addition to the pictographs, there are inscriptions written in a strange and incomprehensible alphabet, of which it is hard to understand what exactly constitutes a letter or a word. No one really understands that language. What do you think it means? I think we all know what it means. Going between these two. Explore kind of scares me, because how long are we going to be exploring? I'm going to do it. You inspect the cave more closely, but aside from the pictographs you've already seen, there's little else of interest. You turn to Ayada and ask her what the pictures mean in her opinion. I've thought about it, and I think it's a prophecy of some kind, whereas the inscriptions could be either a story or a prayer, but the drawing seems to depict a ritual, which is supposed to awaken something terrible. Somehow there's a comet involved too. Yeah, that's what the damn letter said. It's a sacrifice, you think, but you don't say anything, and it's very obvious. The image shows a sacrifice in conjunction with the passing of a comet. Your mysterious friend warned you about an approaching comet in his last message. Well, that friend would have been real nice if he had told me when the comet was going to happen. Like a date would have been nice. I would have appreciated that. Returning to the tropical forest, you're pensive and silent. What you saw in the cave left you with a deep sense of anxiety that you can't seem to shake off. You've seen similar things in your nightmares. Ayada must have noticed the sense of oppression that lingers around you. Do you think this cave could figure in your plan? You remember now that this was the original reason why you came to the cave, and you consider it now carefully. On reflection, you decide that the cave is too risky a location for any sort of ambush or attack. Well, I guess that's good to know. So I assume we're going to attack them at their camp, perhaps? You're walking around the huts, watching the villagers and their activities. You're a stranger amongst these people, but at the same time you feel no negativity, discomfort, or hostility from them. Despite not being one of them, they do not seem to be scared of you, rather they treat you as an honored guest. I'm very curious where we're at. I wonder if they say at one point what island this is. We'll need to have a clearer picture of the layout of the cult's camp. You're explaining to Ayada that in order to rescue Fuego and maybe the other villagers who were captured before your arrival, you will need more information about the enemy camp tonight. When twilight arrives, you see Ayada heading away from the village, giving you the briefest of meaningful glances, telling you to follow. Again, you walk for what seems like an eternity, but eventually she motions for you to slow the pace. You understand that you are near. Oh shit, they're organized. You're on a small rocky outcrop hidden by trees. At the base of the rocks you can see the camp. It seems to be mostly tents, although there are some huts made from wood and corrugated iron. They look to have been built only recently. There they are. there it be. You scan the camp with close attention, but so far you can see no sign of the cult. It looks like just a normal military outpost. You wonder if you've not been in too much of a hurry to connect them to the London cult. I will be observant. You see various men sitting around a fire in the center of the camp, eating a meal. Others are moving around the camp. Even from a distance, you can tell that most of them are white Europeans, as you already saw in the village. It must be hot near the fire, and many of them are bare-chested. By the dim light from the fire, you can see a dark shape on their wrists, but you don't need to get any closer to know that it is the cult's eye tattoo. Yeah, I know. When they finished eating, instead of extinguishing the fire, some of the men bring more wood and start to build up the fire, increasing its diameter and intensity. After a few minutes, two men come out of one of the huts carrying a dead body. As they approach the pyre, you are able to get a better look at the body. It is one of the villagers. The body is covered in pockmarks, and despite the fact that you cannot be sure from this distance, You suspect that they are the familiar marks of the disease. Good to know that the disease is here. I was wondering what was going on with the disease. We hadn't heard about it in a while. They throw the corpse onto the fire. Ayada turns her head away, her hands closed and fists shaking with horror and rage. Ayada struggles to contain her pain and anger, and you can see straight through her seemingly calm exterior. For now, you decide it's better not to say anything, and you turn back into the forest in silence. Was that useful for your plan? I assume, I hope. Oh, yeah, I guess we know where they're at. Now that you know exactly where the prisoners are kept, you can start formulating a plan to rescue them. Whew, okay. So, the strenuous fight of the little men. I think there's going to be a lot of violence next episode. And I think they're going to desperately want me to do fighting checks, and I will fail those fighting checks. So I hope you've enjoyed. I certainly am enjoying it. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here. I don't like that we washed up on a random island and of course the goddamn cold is there. But such is life. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, come back and see me next time. Goodbye!